If you've played Arma before, you already know that it's not exactly a game that holds your hand. And if you've never played a Milsim before, getting into a game like Arma Reforger can feel pretty intimidating right off the bat. The single-player campaign for Arma Reforger was officially added on October 30th, 2025 as a part of the 1.6 update, also known as Operation Omega. This update introduced a 5-part campaign set on the island of Kolgiev. I still don't know how to pronounce it. The addition of a campaign kind of came as a shock to a lot of the player base. Bohemia didn't really tease it or talk about it much beforehand. It basically just showed up on the main menu one day. And honestly, at first, I didn't think much of it. I wasn't really interested in playing a campaign in Arma Reforger. I figured it would just be some basic training mode or a few loosely connected missions. Can I loot this guy? Here's a helmet. Nice. But recently, curiosity got the better of me, so I decided to give it a full playthrough. And lo and behold, I actually gave it a few full playthroughs. And I was actually pleasantly surprised. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what the Arma campaign does well, where it might confuse new players, and whether it actually does a good job preparing players for the chaos that is Arma multiplayer. With only 5 missions available, the campaign is relatively short, which I think is actually a good thing. It took me about 4 hours to complete it on my first playthrough, and that includes all of my deaths and restarts. So realistically, if you're better at the game than I am, it'll probably only take you a couple of hours. One of the first things I noticed was how the levels are designed, or maybe more accurately how they aren't designed. In every single mission, you're given access to the entire island of Kolgiev, although it does do a pretty good job of pointing you in the right direction so you're not just wandering around an entire island. But technically, you can go anywhere you want, at any pace that you want, and approach every objective however you see fit. And for new players, that kind of freedom can feel pretty daunting. So I went around kind of here-ish. Oh yeah, I think it's going to be this, because this is a paved road and a path. So if I take this path, make a left at the fork, it'll literally take me all the way up there. Okay. Unlike big AAA games like Battlefield or Call of Duty, there's no hand-holding. There aren't giant HUD icons screaming at you where to go. Instead, the game immediately forces you to use the tools at your disposal to figure out where you are, where you need to go, and how to get there. So compared to those bigger games, these missions aren't linear at all. There's not massive corridors it's forcing you down, and there aren't icons all over the place telling you where to look. But these missions do gently nudge the player in the right direction when needed. You're never told exactly how to solve a problem. Instead, the game gives you a general objective and trusts that you figure out the rest. That freedom feels very Arma, but it's handled in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming. You're encouraged to think, observe, and plan rather than just sprinting from waypoint to waypoint like you would in something like Modern Warfare. And this kind of design is really important for new Arma players because once you jump in the multiplayer, there is absolutely no help. This isn't good. You need to know how to use your map, your compass, and landmarks to navigate. I think those are those little circles on the map, these things. I think I'm going up there somewhere. So I'm gonna keep running, I guess. Yeah, here's the path again. This should take me straight there. In the campaign, make sure that you start learning those skills right away. One thing I genuinely didn't expect was how many cutscenes and story moments this campaign had. Since the campaign was added pretty abruptly, I assumed it would feel like a glorified training mode. But instead, it actually follows a storyline that connects each mission together. And honestly, the cutscenes were pretty good. They helped ground the story, give context to what you're doing, and make the campaign feel more like a structured experience instead of just a bunch of disconnected missions. So while the story and the cutscenes are a relatively small addition for most people, it does go a long way in making the campaign feel polished and intentional. Now, it's not lost on me that the learning curve for most Milsim games is pretty high, and Arma Reforger is no different. This campaign doesn't teach you everything step by step, but it constantly puts you in situations where you naturally learn how to use the inventory and tools. This is something that honestly I wish that I had when I started my experience with Milsim games, which, if I'm being honest, kind of started with Arma Reforger, because I didn't have very many guides to tell me what to do when I wanted to play the game for the first time. I kinda just jumped straight in the multiplayer and got my ass kicked over and over and over again before I could even get my bearings. This campaign doesn't teach you everything step by step, but it constantly puts you in situations where you naturally learn how to use your inventory and your tools. The hints are very minimal, and it definitely feels geared toward players who already have some Milsim experience, which might confuse brand new players. But honestly, I kinda like that. Because again, once you hit multiplayer, unless you find patient teammates, there's no one going to guide you. You're expected to figure things out on your own, and this campaign does a great job preparing you for that reality. There's no mystery voice in the sky yelling at you if you're walking in the wrong direction. Instead, you're expected to pay attention, experiment, and actually learn the systems in place, which feels refreshing compared to most modern FPS campaigns, which guide you around like a baby so that you feel good about yourself. The combat in Arma Reforger feels awesome, and in the campaign, I think it's also pretty good. It feels tense and rewarding. The enemy NPCs can be challenging and sometimes inconsistent, but I think they're fair. For me, it also seemed that hit registration was sometimes a bit iffy, but that also could have easily been a skill issue. You can tell me what you think down in the comments. Okay, I took these guys out. I will say for the entire campaign, being slow and strategic is definitely the way to go. If you've ever played an Arma game, you probably know that the run and gun tactic generally doesn't work out in your favor. And this campaign is no different. If you just go running into a base, an enemy's gonna one-tap you in the head almost immediately. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm already dead. That was dumb. You always have to remember to play cover, check corners, and take things slow. If you approach situations poorly, the game definitely punishes you, especially the later you get into the campaign. But smart positioning, patience, and situational awareness usually keep you alive. And in the couple of missions that you have them, absolutely use your teammates at your disposal. I've tried to play a few times and failed before I realized I could make these guys follow me around and help me. I tried to just run this solo. There's way too many dudes on this 4th mission to run by yourself. So it's much better when you have all of these guys, you know, coming with you. They have guns. They're actually useful as well. I also thought this was a cool addition to a few of the missions in the campaign. You get a small squad of people to help you take the objective and defend it. You can make them follow you, move positions, hold their fire, and you can set them up to defend a specific area. And surprisingly, they're actually not completely useless. The first time I played through with them, I figured they would just basically be meat shields and not be able to hit anything. But they're actually pretty decent at taking out enemy NPCs, as long as they don't all get blown up by a grenade and you can keep them alive. Oh my goodness. They just grenaded us.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
But sometimes they were actually a bit useless. Crack open the beer. Not a beer, the beer. The only beer. There's only one beer left in the entire country, and we get to crack open the beer when we get home. It's in the Oval Office. It's a Pabst Blue Ribbon. We all get to share it, split it amongst ourselves evenly. We each get a sip for all of our hard work. Except for you, Ronnie, the guy that keeps running in front of my gun while I'm shooting. Again! Oh my god, it happened again! Firefights feel intense, the sound design is solid, and success actually feels earned. And where this campaign really shines is how it prepares new players for the multiplayer experience. You learn how to use all of Arma's tools, maps, compasses, binoculars, first aid, and all naturally, instead of being dumped into a server and expected to know everything immediately. The 3rd mission is even a night mission, which helps teach low visibility combat, which in my opinion is one of the most difficult parts of Arma. So you don't just learn what to do, you also learn what not to do. For example, seeing enemy flashlights give away their position teaches you pretty quickly why turning on your own flashlight can make you a glowing target even if it gives you more visibility. Every mission leaves room for experimentation. You can explore your inventory, try different loadouts, and approach objectives however you want. In 3 of the missions, you're given multiple spawn points to choose from, and depending on which one you choose, it can completely change how the mission is played. And the missions aren't always the same every time you play them. For example, in the 2nd mission, you have to steal a long-range radio from the Russians to try to figure out where one of your captured friendlies has been taken. On my first playthrough of the mission, and the 2 times after that, the vehicle that was holding the long-range radio was spawned in the same exact spot in front of a building inside of the town. But on my 4th playthrough, the vehicle was spawned all the way across town on the harbor instead of inside the town, and I had to actually go looking for it in order to play the mission through for the 4th time. Up until that point, I wasn't aware that the spawns for some of the objectives actually changed. I figured it was just the spawn points that you could choose from and the classes at your disposal that you could try out. So between the different spawn points, the different classes, and the fact that sometimes the objectives can move, I actually think that the replayability of this campaign is pretty good. Visually, Arma Reforger looks great, especially on higher NPCs, but performance on console is still solid. Me personally, I play on the Xbox Series X and can run the campaign in 4K at 60 frames per second. And honestly, playing with controller is completely viable. I've played both ways, on PC and on controller, and as somebody who thinks that a controller just feels more natural, I think that it's completely viable. And I think that that kind of accessibility matters, because a lot of people assume that Milsims require expensive PCs or hardcore setups, but Arma Reforger can absolutely be enjoyed from your couch. You don't have to be some hardcore Milsim airsoft bro to be good at or enjoy games like Arma, Squad, or Hell Let Loose. And I think that this Reforger campaign quietly became a good jumping off point for players new to Arma and even new to Milsim games in general. Overall, I think that the Arma Reforger campaign is a genuinely solid addition to the game. It respects the player, avoids unnecessary handholding, and does a great job preparing you for multiplayer while still delivering some really cool moments along the way. Of course, being an Arma game, it's not perfect, and it assumes that you're willing to learn. But if you're even slightly interested in Arma or Milsim games in general but haven't gotten into it yet, this campaign is absolutely worth your time. And even if you're a seasoned Arma player and you think that this is above you, I still suggest that you go and give it a shot. So if you've played the Arma campaign, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you're new to Arma, I'd love to hear how your experience has been so far. If you've made it this far into the video, first of all, thank you. And if you like the content, please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. And then you got these guys coming in for gun runs. Heck yeah. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's a beautiful sight. And I'm getting medevaced home. And that's the end of the Arma Reforger campaign. Mission complete. The island of Kolgayev has been conquered. Very nice. Yes, I'm going to exit to the main menu now.